Thanks for watching my second YouTube trip report. Today's trip report is on Korean Air 747-8 Intercontinental flying from Incheon to London Heathrow. Today's flight is departing from the newest terminal in Incheon Airport, Terminal 2. Terminal 2 is used by Korean Air and its SkyTeam Alliance airlines such as Delta Airlines, Air France, KLM, China Airlines to name a few. Flying first class today, I get to use a premium check-in area, which is a specialized dedicated area for the premium passengers, including also SkyTeam priority passengers. There is a special dedicated check-in lounge for the first class passengers as well. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated security check-in area for the premium passengers. Korean Air First Class Lounge is situated with the Miler Club Lounge, which is for a higher tier frequent flyer passengers for Korean Air. First Class Lounge is quite small given the limited number of flights that offer first class these days. The food options were plenty, including a cold food and hot food and alcohols. There is also a la carte menu available from the staff attending the area. There are plenty of seats with some view of duty-free stores. First Class Lounge has a one toilet and the one shower area. Despite it sounding somewhat limited in numbers, given the limited number of patrons in the First Class Lounge area, there was no issue with the crowding. I also had a quick look at the lounge next door, the Miler Club Lounge. Miler Club Lounge is a very standard affair lounge, with the food options that's somewhat similar to the First Class Lounge. It's a bit darker and dimmer with no window, but plenty of sittings and good choice of foods compared to the business class lounge. After having a look at the lounge, I had a quick walk around Terminal 2, especially in the transfer lounge area. There was a nice garden in this area to help passengers transferring from a long flight to another long-haul flight to relax and recover. This is a plane that will take me to London today. The seat I've chosen today is at the very tip of the Boeing 747 at seat 1J. One interesting thing about this flight today was I was served by a male flight attendant who was actually a model in the Korean Air safety video from 2008. Seat 1J is quite cozy, but I didn't realize until I got on the plane, but it's actually somewhat narrower compared to seat 2 and seat 3 with a lack of personal cabinet/closet on the side. You get a nice big TV screen that's 32 inches with the touchscreen. Being at the very front of 747 has some advantages. including being able to see all the actions like this towing car pushing your plane, as well as a little bit of feel of what the pilot is feeling when they're flying the plane, as you can actually look forward somewhat when the plane's moving and flying. As much as I wanted to extend this experience that day, unfortunately the runway was in use was runway 15R, so the taxi was quite short from Terminal 2, which is very close to runway 15R. Being very far from the engine also means the forward section of 747 is relatively quiet compared to the mid section of the 747, but there's probably a bit more of the wind noise. Now I'll let you enjoy the harmony of GE2NX engine at full thrust. And that's the nose gear going up. After takeoff, we made a few right turns to start heading west towards UK. The cloud was very fluffy and covering all the ground, so I didn't get much view of the ground for a few hours into the flight. So as I mentioned before, there's a 32-inch screen TV. There's a literature pocket and sleepers and headphones, which is a generic one that's being provided now compared to the Bose ones that they used to give. The power point is awkwardly underneath the footrest, but there's plenty of USB port on the side, and you can see pajama and the standard blanket. And there's some side compartment area, which is a little bit tight actually. And there's also a closet if you're in row 2 and 3, but for row 1 you get to use the mid cabinet as your closet storage area. There is no overhead bin in first class in 747 in Korean Air, which actually is a bit inconvenient. The menu ticket was a bit disappointing, but with the standard affair with the hand cream and the face cream and the lip balm and the toothbrush. And of course you get pajama as well, which you don't get in Korean Air business class. Toilet was also nothing to write home about. It's normal standard size with a nice mood lighting, LED lighting I should say. and there was a nice porphyry in the toilet. Once this is over, it was time for lunch. I've chosen a 4-course Korean meal as this was a more interesting choice out of 2. For some reason, it started with a Western-style salmon starter, but was soon followed by a cold sliced beef shank with a mustard chestnut sauce, which was very nice. This was followed by a wild sesame soup with a stuffed tofu. You can check out all the wine menu on the side of the screen. And this was followed by another salad, a Western style salad that's made on the spot. And then we're back to Korean style menu with the 5 side dishes and 2 soups. They are spiced vegetable soup and the braised chicken stew, and the main dish being the braised hare tail on a radish. It was a very nice meal, and it was good to have a full proper Korean meal on board. And all this was finished with the cheese and crackers and fruit service as usual. The tea service had a bit of an encounter because of a turbulence in the western region of China. After this, it was time to sleep. You got a nice duvet and blanket, and with plenty of space to roll around, it was very comfortable to sleep. Except because of my excess alcohol on this flight, I was having a bit of a headache, so it was having some difficulty trying to fall asleep. Seat length is about 2 meters, and it was not uncomfortable for me, and I'm about 1.8 meters tall. Snack options were disappointing, and this triangular sushi was probably most interesting out of all the options. There are business class in upper deck and also the section behind first class. It's arranged in 2x2x2 and is a larger version of business class that's on Airbus 330 and Boeing 787. Because of my nausea and headache, I just did a simple meal with a cold noodle soup and also a braised beef. It was very tasty, nice simple meal to finish off the flight. Once the meal was over, there was barely about 2 hours left of the flight. It was a very nice sunny day in Europe, and there was a lot more land view compared to when we departed Korea. And as much as I wished to have some holding time before I arrived in Heathrow, unfortunately it was a very nice day with minimal traffic, so we flew straight into London Heathrow with a very minimal diversion or holding pattern. We got a nice view of the Terminal 5 as we landed. And after landing, Because of the location of Terminal 4, we had a great chance to look at some of the nice planes from all around the world.
파이팅 회원사인 저희 대한항공을 이용해 주셔서 대단히 감사합니다. 저희 승무원들은 앞으로도 안전하고 편안하게
There's Qantas Airbus 380, there's British Airways Airbus 380, and there was a Virgin Atlantic Airbus 350-1000, which was actually fairly new at the time. And a variety of Star Alliance airlines, including Air Canada, All Nippon Airways, and Ethiopian Airlines. And to top all of this, there was a special livery British Airways 747-400 taking off. You can see that British Airways 747, the Negus livery, is taking off. Unfortunately, all this special livery 747s has been retired immediately after COVID-19 has hit last year. Here you can see a Cathay Pacific Boeing 777 taking off. And finally, we arrived at Terminal 4, which is a SkyTeam terminal in Heathrow Airport. Overall, it was a very enjoyable flight with a great service and a great Korean full course meal. I wish I can experience more 747-8 in coming future. Thank you very much for watching my second trip report, and please subscribe for more videos coming in future. Thank you.